Welcome back, everybody. This is Fox from Foxfoot Crafts, and I wanted to take a minute to talk to you guys about markers. I do get a lot of people who ask what kind of markers I use, and the answer is a whole variety. So I wanted to take a couple minutes to go through and talk to you guys about the markers that I have. These are by no means the only art markers that are out there. These just happen to be what are in my collection. So I feel like a lot of us, of course, started with Sharpies. So Sharpies, been around for a while. They are inexpensive. You can get them just about anywhere. And I mean, as a kid, you got these markers that are permanent that you can doodle all over yourself, and it's just super great as a kid that you're like, I'm an artist, I have Sharpies. If you had the person that pulled out the markers or the whole bag of Sharpies, you knew immediately that was the kid that was going to draw on themselves. That was me. So it definitely is a marker that is near and dear to my heart, and they come in a whole variety of colors now. So I know that they are not the preferred artist marker, but I definitely catch myself still coming back to Sharpies. If you've met me at a live event, I probably have a couple of these tucked away somewhere. So I mean, they're good markers to have, in my opinion, and that's kind of the whole point of art, is having fun and using what you have in self-expression. So Sharpies are where I started with my marker art. And from there, I remember really wanting to upgrade to a professional art marker, something with a brush nib. And so then I moved on to Prismacolor. Prismacolors, they have the brush nib as well as the fine point nib, which I have not found another alcohol-based marker that has this trait. So I really do like that about them. And the brush marker just kind of gave you that ability to, brush something out, make it look more like a paintbrush than just Sharpie marker art. And so I always really liked that part of it. For any of you who knew me when I first came back into drawing, you probably remember a bunch of my My Little Pony art. The thing that really helped take that off was the Prismacolor marker. So it was a marker that I could use in a lot of my My Little Pony art because it really helped with the mane and being able to give it that definition. So the only complaint I have about these markers is they're non-refillable, and so I caught myself buying a lot of these and having to use them up and then buy more, and so that's honestly been my only complaint about these markers. From there, I kind of set in my mind that I wanted to purchase Copics or Copics. I hear it pronounced both ways, so I'm not really sure on that. It does also have the brush nib, but it has a broad tip to it, and I really wish that Copics would do a brush and a fine tip like the Prismacolor. But everybody who uses markers swears by Copics, and there is a reason for that. They are refillable, which I really like, and then you can switch the nibs out. You can buy new nibs if they start to go bad. And so they also have that kind of nice swooping brush effect to them. It's a high quality marker. They just tend to be a little expensive, which I know the argument is always, oh, but you're able to refill them, so that can save you money. And I get it, but sometimes you want to go ahead and jump into art and you don't have the initial money to set up. So I recommend just starting off with a couple, and then you can substitute in some of the other colors and go from there. So it's still a really good quality marker. I have the whole set of Copics, so I'm pretty excited about owning those. These are ones that I keep at home. They tend to be kind of expensive, $7, $8, so I don't travel with my Copics. If you've ever seen me at an art event where I'm doing free sketch cards, I usually have these guys on me. These are these Spectra markers, which I found them on a website where they had gone on sale. They were advertised as a brush nib, which they do have. And I want to say with tax, they were $1.09. So they were very, very inexpensive and still have that nice, rich color with the brush nib. So when you've seen me at the events, these are usually what I use because they are so inexpensive. And so if I lose one of these, I'm not going to be as heartbroken as if I lose one of the Copics. So that is the marker that you guys may see at the convention, but it's not necessarily the marker that I use the most at home. It does have a wide variety of colors, so it allows me to fill in where some of my other markers are lacking. And again, if I lose one, I'm not going to be heartbroken over it. Before I got these Spectra markers, I did purchase a couple of the BlickStudio markers. These were kind of my in-between of going from Prisma marker to Copics. I saw those and I thought, that looks like a Copic marker, and if it looks like it, it must be like a Copic marker, right? And they're okay. They again have the brush nibs, so you can get those round kind of paintbrush effects. You can push where you want it thicker. So it definitely is similar to a Copic marker. They didn't used to be refillable, which was one of my complaints, but I have noticed recently on the Dick Blick website that they do now sell refills, which is pretty sweet in my opinion. I'm gonna ask for a couple of the refills and a couple more of these markers for Christmas. Now with these two, the Pro markers and the Spectrum Noir markers, these I just happened to find on clearance at a craft store. So these were not markers that I was actively seeking out. These were ones that I just happened to be in browsing and I saw that they were on sale. So with the Pro markers, they don't have a brush tip, at least not mine. I have seen where some fellow artists mention that they have a brush tip, but these just have the fine nib and the broad nib, and because I work a lot in art trading cards, I usually use the fine tip more. With those, the color is really saturated, which I like a whole bunch. It's nice and clean and crisp and just very, very saturated colors. I mean, look at that. That's really nice. But I have noticed that they're not as full of ink as my others. Oh my gosh, that's a terrible piece of pizza. Which I get. That's different brands are going to have different amounts, and maybe that's why they were on clearance, because they were going dry. But it seems like a good marker. I really wish that they would have refills for it. That would be really nice. I would probably buy more of these if they were refillable. So the Spectrum Noir markers, I know a lot of people that like these. Me myself, I do not. I found a small pack. They're normally a really expensive marker, and I found a small pack of them that I purchased, and they have the narrow point nib, so that part's nice. But they seem to bleed outward more than my other markers do, and then the brush nib that they're supposed to have is just, it doesn't hold up very well in my opinion. I don't know if that's because I'm hard on markers or what that case is, but I mean, I feel like I could get that with a Crayola. It's just very, very loose, very squished. So, I do use the narrow part of this, again, to kind of fill in where my other colors are lacking on my markers. So, I just don't prefer them. I know some people do. I'm not one of those people. But, yeah, I use a whole variety of markers in my artwork. I just kind of feel like it gives it some depth, and, again, it's what I have. So, use what you got. Instead of rushing out to buy new stuff, use what you got at first, use it all the way up, and then go buy yourself some more stuff. Totally okay with that. I'm going to go through and do a color swatching time lapse of some of these markers. I know lots of people have done Copics. There's also a ridiculous amount of them that I have, and I just don't have time to do a color swatch on those. But some of these other guys, I am going to add in a quick little time lapse of the color swatching for you guys. So stay tuned. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching my color swatching. I will say it's kind of difficult to do color swatching with a lot of these because the color numbers don't coincide with the order that they are on the sheets. These are sheets that I went and I printed off directly from the manufacturer, so it was kind of hard piecing through and finding those colors and making sure that they matched in there. But you can always check me out, check out my other videos, comment down below what kind of markers you guys like, and talk to you guys later. Thanks.